a lot of men really spend their lives trying to outrun their past, but you've chosen to face yours head on while building a career and raising two boys. What finally convinced you that avoiding it was more dangerous than confronting it?
Uh, Man, I think what finally convinced me was being kind of at the end of the road. Like, I had no options. I was in a tough spot. This is right after my mom passed away, just kind of hiding from everyone, hiding from the world. And came to a crossroads where I basically said, like, I'm either coming out alive tonight or I'm not. And I remember it very, very well the night. I was making some plans that would have changed a lot of people's lives, and for some reason, I got my laptop. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, wrong end of a brown bottle, and Googled, "I'm a man in St. Louis and I need help." And this link popped up. I clicked on it. I a little chat, one of those chat bubbles or whatever pops up like, "Hey, what's your problem?" I was like, "I'm fucked up. I'm a man. I'm making all kinds of bad decisions. I'm hurting myself. I'm hurting people I love, and I don't like myself anymore, and I don't know what to do about it." So I got an email like 3 minutes later, and it said, "Hey, my name is David Corley. Um, if you need to talk tonight, here's my number. If you're safe for tonight, call me tomorrow." And so I think that was enough to get me to
Nice.
morning. Called him, and he said, "What's your problem?" I said, "I hate myself. I can't figure out how to stop hating myself and ruining everything." He said, "Yeah, me too." He said, "Well, why don't you come hang out with us on Monday, and just sit in with a circle and just, talk to some men that are also fucked up." So that was January 19th, 3 years ago. And I showed up to that circle and made fun of it while I was there because it seemed completely ridiculous. Showed up the next Monday, introduced myself. Showed up the next Monday, gave a little bit of my story, and then, pretty soon it was just what you do. Our meetings have shifted. Now we meet on Tuesdays, but I've been going every week.
For the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So what kind of led you to this point? Obviously you spoke of your mom passing away, but was there other things?
Yeah. Well, there's tons of stuff, right? I mean, it's an aggregate of what has happened in life. And so I think I got really good really early of creating different versions of myself so that people would like me, or I would, put myself in front of them. Well, what does this person need from me? They need me to be outgoing, or they need me to be strong, or support, whatever it is. And I would create that version to where I didn't have an identity. I didn't know who I was. And so through that pain, I was able to hide it until I wasn't, and it started manifesting itself in very public ways, and hurting the people I love the most. And I had gone through therapy. I've been in therapy for a long time, just for different stuff, and you know personal therapy and fatherhood and husband and all that stuff. But I don't think I thought I could out like smart everyone. I thought I was that good of a manipulator that I could create a version of me that person thought, oh, well, this is the healed version of him. And you just, when you get to the end of the road and you see this destruction, you're like, okay, I gotta really own some shit here. And I don't even think through my, through the initial introduction of this group, I still don't think I really grasped it. I played that game too for a little while. And there was a gentleman who was kind of a mentor in that group named Harry Asher. He's dead now. Who said, "Hey, you're real good at telling stories and being full of shit. Why don't you come to this weekend?" So I did. So I went to this weekend. It was like a retreat, 3 days. And it was, I mean, you can't hide from yourself when you're doing nothing but working on yourself. So you get torn down and learn some tools to rebuild yourself. It's pretty powerful stuff.
So it took you. So how long was it before you got to that point that from when you started with the group?
January, I got into what they call open circle. My weekend was September.
Gotcha.
I would say maybe halfway to September. So, or midsummer, something like that. I really started to kind of turn a corner and believe that I could actually not be the piece of shit that I thought I was, and the monster I had created in my own mind. And once you get to that point, I felt kind of stuck. I'm like, is this my new normal? I don't even know what to do now. I felt like I was kind of reborn. And then after the weekend, you learn some tools and you get a closer circle, closer group that meets privately. It's not an open circle. And I mean, it's a work in progress. I think one of the most powerful things that came out of like this growth pattern was understanding what I'm capable of, but also understanding that I have the choice and the power to choose what I want. It's eye-opening for people that are really uncomfortable with,
Sure.
bad shit. It's like, I'm glad that you're not that person anymore. I'm like, got bad news for you.
Yeah, he's still
I'm
in there.
definitely that dude.
Well, and I think, and one thing too, I mean, we're all in the real estate industry. You guys, as agents, I'm on the mortgage side, and you mentioned it, and I've made this comment too, a few times, but it's really shifted for me since we started this podcast. But I felt like I always had, like you mentioned, you had to be a chameleon. You had to cater to whoever it was that you were with because you wanted the clients. You didn't want to lose a deal or an agent. Like I felt like I had to make myself into what that particular agent. And I felt like I had, I mean, shit, what's that movie? The guy has all those different personalities.
Primal Fear is the original, but you might be a Split. Is that what?
That's
Primal Fear. That's who I thought I was.
And I had that same thing, and then all of a sudden my divorce happened, and here I am alone trying to figure out where the hell I go from here. And it's like you said, it's a work in progress. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it wasn't until we started this that I'm like, fuck it. I can't lie about who I am on this for as many episodes as we've done. It's gonna like that. Can't fake that,
right?
And so, and then also it's just like, you know what? Like if I'm going to be this person, I gotta be that person.
Yeah.
And it's really forced me to look inside, just kind of like what you did. For you, was there within that, you said you really kind of clicked or started to shift within that first 6 months. Was there like an aha moment for you that you had that was like, fuck, like
this is still a work in progress for me. I deal with this on my Tuesday meetings about this idea of real / unconditional love. And like, does that really exist? Or does everybody have conditions? And I think I struggled with that for a long time because the people that I thought I was getting that from have passed and aren't there. And so there was not this reality for me in that. And so it was almost like, this is how I feel about myself. So let's make everybody else agree with that. And then we're all on the same page and now we're good. Now I can just be the guy who sucks and, go about my merry way. I think when I started receiving grace from people that I judged I probably shouldn't have received grace from was when things really started to change for me.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember I had a really good conversation with my brother-in-law who had a lot of reasons to not like me. And it was a tough conversation, but I replay it all the time because, he didn't hear the things he wanted to hear and I didn't hear the things that I wanted to hear, but we were open to hearing them together. And from that point, there was the opportunity to grow with some authenticity in the relationship. So yeah, it's just when people show you grace where your worst sides don't think you deserve it, that opens up a lot.
Well, I mean, you've experienced a lot of loss in your lifetime. How do you think that repeated grief actually rewires a man's nervous system?
Probably. I mean, I know that there's habits and traits that are, created during that grieving process. And I also acknowledge that they don't always work forever. You have to repurpose some of those traits like the chameleon, I mean, it's great when you're a kid and you need to hide and feel okay so you don't upset somebody, or you're protecting somebody or whatever it is. But when you're older,
Right.
you have to figure out, how do I purpose that ability instead of using it for manipulation, using it for seeing opportunities like in business and identifying, where to lean in and where to not lean in and how to control yourself and all of those things that you can purpose that, but I'm still working on it. So yeah, I mean, I think the crazy thing for me at least was I had such a large number of losses and they came at so many different stages in life to where you wonder like, okay, man, did that stunt me as a kid? Okay, did that stunt me as a teenager? Did that stunt me as a young man? Or is this all growth? Like you kind of I woke up at 30 something years old, like what the fuck happened? Like who am I? How am I do even deal with this stuff? And then now I have these two little boys who I'm trying to grow into young men and have them figure out how to deal with hard stuff. My oldest was around, both my kids were around when my mom passed, but my youngest was pretty young. My oldest was like her best friend. How do I share that? How do I help him through that if I can't even figure out, what to do? So there's a lot of opportunity for growth, I think. Yeah.
I mean, that's for kids, man. I'm always thinking like, is what I'm doing fucking them up or making them better? Like it's always in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Like, leading by example, because they see everything. And it's crazy that like I said, in my mind, I want to make sure that they're seeing something that's going to be positive for them. I mean, that's why, for us with the divorce was so important that we were able to fix it and get through it.
Yeah.
Quickly and develop a good relationship from there.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want them to see what that's not what I want them to see a relationship like between a husband and wife. Like that's just,
right.
That's exactly where we were. And it took both had to grace for each other. It's a powerful thing.
Yeah, it really is. And I think, there's this mantra of like, be for your kids who you wish you would have had, for you or whatever however that phrase goes. I think about that all the time because, you can laughingly say like, oh, just like my dad or just like my mom, when you say a certain thing or do a certain thing or cook a certain, whatever it is. But I wanted my kids to have a healthy relationship with like their own feelings. Like, not that I didn't grow up in like, well, you can't cry or I'll beat your ass. I didn't have that necessarily. But I didn't have any of it. Like we didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about how you felt. And even after my brother passed away, we were kids. You didn't check in. You didn't like nobody.
Man,
you just
how
didn't
old
talk
were you
about
at
it.
the time?
I was 13. I was in 8th grade. My brother was 14.
Yeah, when you need to be able to express your emotions the most.
For sure. And, everybody was going through it. So you got to kind of, in hindsight, you can acknowledge that.
Right.
But at the time, like we were a year and 5 days apart. Every birthday party was together. Every sports team, for the most part, he was better than me, but most sports teams were together. We did same friend group. And then he was just gone one day. And I'm like, fuck. Is anybody am I going to say something? Did this happen? And we're kind of removed, kicked out from our house pretty quickly after that. And shit was upside down for a while. You wake up and figure out what's next.
I mean, as a parent, I couldn't imagine losing my child.
No way.
Destroy me.
No way. Yeah. And it did. I mean, you see it now, like it was cool. I got a month before my mom passed away. I asked to interview her on the mic. And so I still listen to it every once in a while. And I asked her, I was like, how do you do that? Like, how do you give a shit about me or my older brother or anybody after putting a kid in the ground? And my mom was, she had a lot more toughness than people even gave her credit for. She was married at 17, widowed at 18, married again at 20, had 3 kids, put one of them in the ground, buried her dad, like all kinds of crazy shit. And she just, it's hard to know if it was real because I just can't imagine it was real, but she said it. She said, anytime something bad would happen, I would just figure out like, who can I help? Like, that's the only way I can get through this is just to help somebody. I was like, that's fucking nuts.
Yeah,
That is insane.
That's not the.
So I had a good example for bouncing back.
Yeah, that's definitely not the response you'd hear from most people.
No, it's not the response I had for myself.
Oh.
When I lost her or, friends or anybody else, it was like, no, I need to use this for a minute.